In my lifelong search for contentment, I've learned that it doesn't come from anything external to us, but from within. In this Golden Cover series, I document some of the insights I've gained that might help lead you to a little more peace of mind. The path to happiness. Nothing is truly within your control. Although you may work toward the manipulation of an object and succeed, everything which is external to you is outside of your control, for there's no guarantee that some other force will not act upon it. Examples of things outside of your control which are external to you include the family and country to which you were born, wealth, health, and the opinions of others. Although you may work toward the manipulation of yourself and succeed, everything internal, belonging to the I with whom you identify, is outside of your control. For many things external to you have the potential to change that which is internal to you. Examples of things outside of your control which are internal to you include perception, memory, opinion, emotion, and your inner monologue. Examples of things which may act upon that which is internal to you include psychological trauma, drugs, brain damage, conditioning, diet, and exercise. Attachment to anything outside of your control makes you susceptible to discontentment, and desiring that anything should be as you will it, and not as it actually is, leads to suffering. If you wish to free yourself from suffering, you must find the state of mind free from attachment, and in which desire has no control over you. The mind can be divided into two parts: the manifestations which are observed, and that which is aware of the object of observation. Practice, such as training your attention on the breath, a sound, a sensation, or on some other focal point, will help you experience through the perspective of observation more easily. For example, many view themselves as the thinkers of their thoughts. But with practice, you can see that these thoughts arise spontaneously within consciousness. In fact, we are not the thinkers of our thoughts, because we can observe those thoughts arising out of nothing. Everything other than the witness to conscious manifestations which is internal to you, such as perception, opinion, memory, emotion, and your inner monologue, is the ego. The ego is the veil of separation between us and everything, including those things which we justify consuming, such as food, music, and literature. It is our motivation for every action, but its aim is to feed itself, and it grows too large from overconsumption. Like a muscle, if it is exercised and fed, it will grow. In this case, it will require more to maintain itself, and its deprivation will result in discomfort. As it grows, the veil becomes more opaque, and the illusion of separation increases, resulting in a lack of empathy, and an increase in anxiety, neuroticism, narcissism, and a variety of conditions stemming from egocentrism. Although many things prevent the ego from being truly under your control, it can be conditioned into a tool rather than an impediment. As a conceptual reference, it is useful to view the ego as an amalgam of all external influences, as produced through the filter of your genetic predispositions and senses. Resting as the observer of all mental phenomena is the foundation which should be set for all self-improvement, or improving the ego. While every other piece of you can come and go, you can always observe. Observation is utilized through the mechanism of attention. Attention allows you to downregulate the ego through various means, so mastering attention is key. Exercising your attention by intentionally shifting it, such as redirecting judgments of others toward yourself, redirecting attention from one area of the body which is in pain toward one which isn't, or even directing it to the pain as sensation rather than the story you tell yourself about the pain, helps shape perspective and interpretation. Play with your attention. As you do, you will become more aware of those things which act upon your internal experience. The awareness of those things which act upon your internal experience allows you to form yourself according to observation. Becoming aware of the influence on your person by your environment and activities is as simple as noticing more of what's happening in the present. For example, you might notice reading or meditating trains your attention stamina, resulting in less desire for stimulation. Some other examples include the influence of entertainment, the precision developed in one's inner monologue through reading, the influence of the company you keep, and the capability for detachment developed through meditation. In time, ego can be reformed to accommodate a person's interaction with the world rather than hinder it. If we speak via ego, so we do well to train it. However, there are far more blissful states of consciousness, so downregulating ego will help it step out of the way more easily. The most detached form of observation will result in the death of the ego, undifferentiated consciousness. As ego dissolves, the selfish I yields itself to experience, and several paradigms become apparent. Your person is the result of your thoughts. The quality of your thoughts is determined by the quality of the things to which you direct your attention. It may be loosely stated that you become what you give your attention to. Or to perhaps state it more accurately, ego becomes that which you most frequently hold in thought. Most suffering occurs from rumination and perseveration. Limiting your thoughts of the past or future to those of utility will free you from substantial suffering. Past and future only exist in conception. Your only reality is found in the present. If you are going to desire something, desire all that it entails. There is always the option of pursuing some other desire, but reason should guide our attention toward appropriate desire. Therefore, once choice is employed, accept those things which are the result of the pursuit of that desire. For example, if you desire relationships, desire giving up time, desire to be held accountable, and desire to be disagreed with. Your severity of stress is less likely the result of the stressor's significance than it is the result of improper perspective. For example, an employee whose project deadline doesn't affect their job security is capable of undergoing more stress than a homeless person who has no surety of their next meal. In spite of being capable of satisfying nearly every desire, the ultra-wealthy are not necessarily the most happy. Happiness does not scale with your ability to feed desire. Happiness stabilizes. Therefore, accustom yourself to little stimulation and few comforts, and more will appear as surplus. Your thoughts, which arise spontaneously, are made more imaginative and loving through resting within the observer state, while the ego is an impediment to genuine thought and spontaneous action. The more your ego subsides, the less conditioned and more selfless your thoughts become. Finally, all subjective experience, everything which arises in consciousness, is interpretation. In truth, there is only ever experience, but you can experience as the ego through those things which manifest in consciousness, such as narrative thought. You can experience as the observer, aware of those things which manifest. Or, under the ultimate dissolution of ego, you may experience pure awareness, undifferentiated consciousness, in which there exists no form, conception, or judgment. Being devoid of quality, it is an attachment-free, desireless, and contented existence to which you can retreat given enough practice. This is the space and condition by which all others should be measured. The ego's preference for continuation over moral obligation means making yourself the slave of any power which demands obedience or death. Therefore, self-sacrifice is to be viewed among the greatest virtues, and love for others is our only path toward it. Hatred does not stop hatred. Love replaces hatred. Recognizing ego as self and resting as the observer is the path to undifferentiated consciousness, a mind free from the forms of self, preference, and the fear of death. Once you see this, and the dissolution of self as your truest source of contentment, death ceases to have power over you, and you can conquer the impositions from power with love. Love manifests as self-sacrifice, and you can sacrifice self because the self is a construct and an illusion. The only reason for self-improvement is to improve oneself for the whole, without whom one would not be, and for whom one came into being.